Hey guys, today I am talking to you about fall fragrances. I've already recorded a video of fragrances that I recommend for fall that are less than $50, and today I am bringing you 10, I think, fragrances that are between $50 and $100. I have one more video in this series coming after this one. I hope you find some fragrances that you're interested in and that are within your price range. The first one I want to talk about is Prada La Femme. This fragrance, I think, is one of the fragrances that will work in a transition period, so from fall into winter, or if you live in a climate where fall just isn't that cold. This fragrance features notes of tuberose, beeswax, I believe, and I get some powdery iris in there as well. I've heard a lot of people talk about how this smells clean, and I understand what they mean when they say clean. I agree that it smells clean, but it also smells sweet, at least to me. This fragrance isn't overly sweet or super sweet, but it has that really nice kind of touch of honey that I think makes it perfect for fall. I think this would also work in the springtime. But in the fall, I get a lot more tuberose. There's also frangipani in this, and I think the tuberose is more pronounced. The tuberose in here is not super green. It's not really super anything. It's not super buttery. It's kind of in the middle. I think this fragrance would make a perfect office fragrance or an everyday fragrance because it is definitely I don't have to think about it, easy reach kind of perfume. This next fragrance is similar to Prada La Femme in that I think it makes a great transitional fragrance or a fragrance good for a climate that doesn't get super cold. It's from Dolce & Gabbana. It's called The Only One. This fragrance also is just a really easy reach for me. To me, this smells kind of maple syrupy, but a very light maple syrup. It's not really super heavy. I kind of expected like a black opium type depth when I bought this, but it is not super heavy. It's really nice and thick, but it has a lightness, a little bit of clarity to it. This one is very sweet. Like I said, it smells like maple syrup to me, and maybe that's why I think about fall, because in the fall, I tend to eat more like pancakes and waffles than in the summertime. But this would also work in the spring, I think, as well. This next one changes, and I love that it changes about 30 minutes in. This is Paco Rabanne's Pure XS for Her. On first spray, this smells like popcorn. Like you get that kernely kind of, I don't want to say cardboard, but like a dry popcorn note. And there's also this buttery element. It doesn't smell like popcorn butter like walking into a movie theater. But about half an hour in, it morphs into this really seductive woody vanilla. I love this fragrance because of that. I think it's so cool that it changes, and it changes very dramatically. And I think it's really nice for fall because of that woody vanilla dry down. It's really easy to wear. I would say this would be fine in the daytime. A lot of sexy vanillas are very heavy and they feel like they're better for nighttime. But to me, this works in the daytime. The vanilla isn't super sweet. And none of it smells synthetic. I read about the popcorn note and I was thinking like, oh my God, it's gonna smell like artificial, but it really doesn't. Like I get that, biting into a kernel of popped popcorn when I first smell it. And I think that this one leans a little more mature in the dry down, but the opening might trick you a little bit because when I was smelling that buttered popcorn smell, I'm like, oh my God, this smells like something like a kid would really get a kick out of. But I think this one is really nice, and the bottle is to die for. This next fragrance needs no introduction. Labelle from Jean Paul Gaultier. This is the perfume on everyone's lists this fall, and for good reason. This fragrance is just 100% fall. There is vetiver and there is pear in this. I get the pear a ton, and it's like this roasted, sweet, brown sugar pear. The vetiver keeps it pretty fresh though. Like, looking at the bottle, hearing that it's for fall, I really expected like a super deep, thick, syrupy fragrance, and it is syrupy, but the vetiver keeps it very fresh, and the vanilla in the base lasts forever, and it is such a good vanilla. If you like vanilla fragrances and you want something that is vanilla but very interesting, this is the one. If you don't like vetiver, don't bother with this one because the vetiver is very, very evident. I happen to like vetiver, and I don't think that the vetiver takes it into a very masculine territory, at least not what I smell. I think this is great in the daytime, and I think that the bottle's a little deceiving because it doesn't smell to me like the bottle looks, but it's still very good, and especially if you love vanilla and if you love pear. I'm gonna get into the heavier scents now, which are my preference in the fall and winter time. This next one is from Jimmy Choo. This is Fever. I like Jimmy Choo fragrances, but they all tend to smell fairly, well, for lack of a better word, basic. They're really kind of like take them or leave them fragrances for me. Even when they smell really good, they're not fragrances that I feel I must own. This, on the other hand, I think this might be a must own for me. This fragrance has plum, tonka, benzoin, vanilla, and I get the plum and the tonka so much. It's like this sweet, fruity, powdery, just deliciousness. The benzoin does make it a little resinous. This to me smells very perfumey, which is typically not something I love in my fragrances. I don't know if anybody else gets that. I really like gourmand fragrances where, you know, the food notes are the most prominent. This smells like a perfume. No one's gonna think that like you walked out of a bakery or anything like that. But it's like just on the line of gourmand with that plum, that it's not too perfumey for me. This one is deep, it's very heavy. I love how the plum plays with the tonka. Plum can be a really juicy, dark fruit, and I think the tonka keeps it from getting too, I don't know, thick, juicy. It's like just that perfect middle ground. So if you don't love food perfumes the way I do, this one might be a good try for you. Plum is one of my favorite notes in fragrance, and Marc Jacobs Decadence, in my opinion, is one of the best plums I've ever smelled. The plum in this is just ripe and juicy, and it drips down your chin. This fragrance has vanilla and woods in it, and on some people's skin, it goes very woody, kind of getting into pencil shavings territory, so definitely try this one before you buy it. But if you have the right skin chemistry, it just smells like this sweet, yummy, plummy vanilla. It lasts forever. The bottle is 100% my style. And I get so many compliments when I wear this. I think body chemistry has something to do with it, but it just smells so yummy. And fruit, a lot of times, can smell very spring or summery because it's fruit, and it's hard to find fruit that really makes you feel like fall, but this one is the perfect fall fruity fragrance. If you are like me and you love fragrances that are beast mode, then Melapona from Fragranza is the fragrance, no question. This has to be the strongest fragrance that I own. And I own quite a few heavy hitters. When I first tried this, it blew me away, like knocked my socks off. It was too much for me, which I never thought I would ever say that about a fragrance. But I definitely said it about this one. This is one of those fragrances that you truly just need one, maybe two sprays. I mean, I haven't even had that reaction to Angel, and this is like too much for me. This fragrance is a mix between Black Opium and Livia Belle. So it's got that really delicious sweet patchouli. It has a little bit of a coffee note in there. It's so good. It's got the iris, the same iris that's in Livia Belle. It is a compliment getter. This appeals to a ton of people. And like I said, it's just beast mode on. If you love Livia Belle or you love Black Opium, this is such an easy decision because this smells like those two combined, but it's like amped up times 100. I love Livia Belle, but in the fall, the Livia Belle that I reach for the most is Livia Belle Intense. This is Livia Belle with whipped cream and hazelnuts, like roasted hazelnuts. They are just savory, nutty on top of that sweet patchouli and that sweet iris in Livia Belle. If you don't like Livia Belle, I don't know that this one is a safe blind buy. That's debatable if that even exists, but I think if you love Livia Belle and you love nutty fragrances, this one is a super easy decision. This, to me, smells like your favorite sweater that you put on for the first time when the weather changes. That is what this fragrance is to me. I am so excited to pull this out every single fall. It just smells so good. And I think it's really recognizable to a lot of people, that Livia Belle DNA, but it smells different. So I think it's very alluring for that reason. If you like nuts in your fragrance, then Angel Muse is the one. This is also a hazelnut fragrance. It's got the Angel DNA with the hazelnuts on top. I prefer this to Angel. I think Angel is a great fragrance. I'm not always in the mood for it. Sometimes it's too much. And sometimes it feels very basic. I mean, I say that now, however many years after it's launched. But Angel Muse smells like such a fresh interpretation of Angel. And even though I'm suggesting this as a fall fragrance and it works amazingly in the winter too, I've used this in the summer and loved it. Different facets of the fragrance come out depending on the temperature. This is, in my opinion, a more daring way to wear a nutty fragrance. This one is an attention grabber for sure. My last fragrance is from Guerlain. This is Monger Intense. I love Monger and I think it works in all seasons, and the intense version, in my opinion, belongs in colder weather. This is certainly a more intense version of Monger. It's got lavender and vanilla. I think there's tonka, and all of it is amped up. I think this one smells like a stronger version of Monger. I haven't worn them side by side enough to be able to tell you exactly what the differences are. I find the vanilla more amped up in this. Some people say the lavender is more amped up. I don't really find that to be true. But maybe if I smelled them side by side, I would disagree with myself. But if you love Monger, I highly recommend the intense version for the fall and the winter. Those are my fragrance suggestions for fall that are under $100. I hope you found something new to try. I would love to hear in the comments what is on your perfume tray this season, and I will see you in my next one.